This is a man who has overcome incredible odds. We know that in our gut, the kind of odds he's overcome, to be here where he is today in front of you. And you know what? We shouldn't be embarrassed by the fact that he can give a good speech, that he can inspire hundreds and thousands of young people to step across the line and say, I want to fight too, for the families of America and for the disappearing middle class. This is a great leader with a uniquely American story. A leader who loves America because of that unique opportunity that only America can give a skinny guy from Chicago named Barack Obama. Join me in greeting a great leader that will go down in history as one of the best presidents of the United States of America, Senator Barack Obama.
We meet here at a challenging time for our families, and it's a challenging time for America. All across the country, Americans are anxious about their futures. They're angry about their futures. They're not sure what the economy is going to bring. In a global economy with new rules and new risks, they've watched their government do its best to try to shift those risks onto the backs of the American worker. And they wonder how they're ever going to keep up. In coffee shops and town meetings and VFW halls, right here in this room, the questions are all the same. Will I be able to leave my children a better world than I was given? Will I be able to save enough to send them to college or plan for a secure retirement? Will my job even be there tomorrow? Who will stand up for me in this new world? And in this time of change and uncertainty, these questions are expected, but this isn't the first time we've heard them. They're the same kinds of questions we've heard for many years in America. I heard them over 2 decades ago. After I turned down a job on Wall Street, I went to work as a community organizer on the south side of Chicago. The job was to help lift up neighborhoods that had been devastated because the steel plants on the southeast side had all closed. So I worked with unions, and I worked with community groups, and I worked with churches to organize job training programs for the jobless and hope for the hopeless. And block by block, we turned some of those neighborhoods around. And it showed me the fundamental truth that's been at the heart of America's success, and the heart of the labor movement in this country. The idea that we're all in it together, that we've got mutual obligations to one another, that I'm my brother's keeper, that I am my sister's keeper, and that in this country we rise and fall together. So make no mistake, the American people have a choice in this election. We can talk about our economic problems all we want, but unless we change the broken system right here in Washington, nothing else is going to change. We can talk all we want about standing up for our workers, but unless we have a president you can trust to listen and put working Americans first, nothing's really going to change. And you can trust me, because politics didn't lead me to working people. Working people led me to politics. There's a difference. My message hasn't changed from 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 4 years ago or 2 years ago. I've been talking about the same things and working alongside you all that time. I was standing with American workers on the streets of Chicago 20 years ago. And the reason I'm here today is because I don't want to wake up one day many years from now and see that our workers are still being denied the wages and benefits and rights that they deserve, that we still haven't made the investments in infrastructure and training our workers that we desperately need. The reason I'm here today is because I know what it's like to go to college on student loans. I know what it's like to see a mother get sick and worry that maybe she can't pay the bills. I know what it's like to have to scratch and work and claw to build a better life for your family. I don't want to wake up many years from now and find that American dream is still out of reach for too many Americans. The The reason I'm here today is because I believe that if we can just put an end to the politics of division and distraction and reclaim that sense that we've got a stake in each other, that we rise and fall as one nation, if we can just unite this country around a common purpose, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, labor and management, Democrats, independents, even get some Republicans in there, there is no obstacle we can't overcome. There's no destiny we can't fulfill.
You cannot afford to be silent during this election year. We all got to go out and push and pull. Friends of mine, people that I knew, people that I worked with, people that I went to jail with during the 60s, and I was arrested in jail 40 times, beaten, left bloody, unconscious. Some of them died, but I didn't give up. I didn't give in. And you must not give up. You must not give in. We must take more seats in the House of Representatives. We must elect more good men and women to the Senate. And we have an obligation, a mission, and a mandate from the working people of this country to elect a Democrat to the presidency. We must do it.
When George Bush took office, after a Democratic administration, okay, it was a $431 billion surplus over the previous 3 years. Today, $734 billion deficit over the previous 2 years. That's not Washington's fault. That's not all of our fault. That's not the Democrats' fault. It's their fault. That's $1 trillion. 100% to blame. Don't ever forget that. Oh, are we concerned about change in median income? In the 8 years before George Bush was president, under a Democratic administration, wages rose $6,000 in 8 years. Under a Republican, not under a Washington administration, under a Republican administration, wages declined $1,000. That's not your fault. That's not the Democrats' fault. That's not Washington's fault. That's their fault.
I was asked to take to my board of directors at the Nuclear Energy Institute and to my executive committee the idea that we endorse Davis-Bacon prevailing wages for those new nuclear power plants that are built with Title 15 loan guarantees. I took that to our committee and to our board, and guess what? They voted unanimously to agree to that. I've got right here 4 letters, copies of the letters that I sent to the top 4 up on the Hill, the congressional leaders. Let me just read 1 or 2 sentences. It says here, the nuclear industry is going to need highly skilled building trade workers to build the next generation of nuclear plants. And here's the clincher. We support prevailing wages for this skilled workforce and therefore agree with including prevailing wage provisions for new nuclear projects.
For the first time in their lives, workers are feeling that their children won't be able to achieve what they've achieved. But I don't think any of us were prepared for an economy in total free fall. Oil, over $110 a barrel. Housing in shambles. Mortgage foreclosures, 2 million and growing. And the stock market performing like a pinball machine. We've lost jobs, 250,000 of them in the last 3 months alone. The Bush administration has the worst record on jobs since the 1930s. It all adds new urgency, not just in the November election, but in what's happening and not happening here in Washington. What's happening is that our economy, our basic industries, our middle-class way of life are going to hell in a handbasket. What's not happening is any sort of simply, timely, adequate response from Bush.